Hi, Joey. Thought we'd talk a little bit about your self-portrait, your profile self-portrait here for a couple minutes ahead of our talk. What I want to say is this is a very strong first effort for a profile self-portrait, and it looks really, really cool. My first impression was, wow, this is amazing. Um, by now you're using measuring, you're using your tools of your strategies of turning things upside down and squinting and all those kind of things. And we've occasionally used the grid before to kind of check on things. I know this picture appears to be slightly skewed, and I think it's a function of my phone because on the computer screen it is vertical, so you just have to excuse that little bit of a slant. The only reason I put the grid on here was just to kind of highlight a couple things that, as far as lining things up, and it's by no means to like get really super picky about to be absolutely perfect on some certain things. But of course, it's a self-portrait, so we do have to get certain things very accurate for it to have a really good likeness. When I did these two pictures, what I did was when I put them on through my programs, I made the distance between the top of the heads the same, so they're even as far as the top of the head. And the only other anchor point that I really put on here was where this line converges in the same place in both. It converges right at the upper right part of the eye, so we can so at least we have 3 points of contact where we can say those are our kind of anchor points to go from. Very cool. You very focused on eyes, and that's kind of a natural human thing. Like I said, the business you're in, you're very focused on people, and so it's not supernatural, totally natural for you to focus on eyes. I think the eye is just a little bit big. If you look back and forth and even squinting, and I know that it's really dark, so that makes it show up more. But if we look at the size of the pupil on this one, because these are all pretty much scaled to the same size. If we look at the pupil on this one compared to the pupil in the photograph, we can see the one in the photograph is much smaller, and it takes up about the same distance from the front of the line to the back of the line. The difference is the pupil is just larger, and so that kind of sets it off a little bit. Maybe I should back up a minute. When we're looking at portraits, or faces in general, there's kind of this triangle shape that we look at. So it's from the chin up to the eyes, and it kind of forms an upside down, or like an ice cream cone shape, like a triangle. So that's kind of what they call the mask that we're working with. And you've got that triangle shape right there. Couple things that I noticed. One is on your photograph, I think the important parts are the overall picture here, the overall image. You kind of have this leaning forward, expectant kind of look where you are about to say something or think something. It looks like something's going on of whatever you're looking at. So there's kind of this nice feeling to it that you're not just sitting there, okay, now take my picture. You kind of have, there's just a feeling there that to capture like you're looking at something and you're leaning toward it. So we have that. And that comes through by this slant here and this slant here. So this is more of a slant forward. The face is more over this part, which gives you the leaning forward look. The other part I want to focus on is for this image. There's this little up curve here at the end, which is a very gives the whole overall feeling of just warm and welcoming and positivity. Just having that little bit of curve up there. So make sure in your picture you get that little bit of a curve up there to show that whole overall image or feeling that this picture captures. I know I'm not saying this real smoothly, but you just kind of have this kind of a soft eagerness that you're looking ahead, and you want to catch that little bit of a curve right there. And when you squint at it, you can see it's pretty dark. It's kind of it's kind of in a shadow place underneath where the light doesn't quite hit the upper lip. So make sure you show that as a very pointy place. So it's in just about exactly the right spot here. It just has to go back a little bit and be a little bit pointier. This part, when I did my self-portrait that I posted the other day, between the nose and the upper lip, drove me crazy. I bet I spent an hour trying to get those two little lines done. One of the things that I noticed on this one is if you look at the angle of the nose and the chin here, I'm just going to try to keep this angle. It's not quite a 45, but it's getting there. And if I bring this angle over here, you can see that it's not quite the 45. What happens is on this one, this part of the mouth, there's kind of this gentle curve going the whole way around. You can see it goes from the forehead around and the upper lip and the lower lip, and it makes kind of a rounded shape. So we want to make sure we get that rounded shape in there to show that. That's what kind of gives you the leaning forward look too. This one, and I know that a lot of good work went into this. It has the feeling more like he's sitting up, kind of leaning back a little more, where this one you kind of have this leaning forward kind of feel to it. So that's the one thing to watch, is this kind of angle here and how they're related to each other. Okay. The other thing that I would point out is the vertical, where things line up vertically. When we look at this one, if we go back to the back corner of the eye, you can see how it lines up with the mouth. It's almost touching the mouth. The mouth is, that corner of the mouth is really, really, really close there. And when we go here, we can see that the mouth is a little bit further to the right. So this could head back here just a little bit more. And then we talked about that on this one, that the mouth can go back just a little more. And if this whole bottom moved back a little bit, that would certainly accomplish that. And the other thing is, if we look at the chin and we go up straight from the chin to see where that hits, we can see that it hit like right in the middle of the eyebrow. On this one, from the chin, it goes straight up to the top and almost and kind of cuts that eyebrow in half, and kind of halfway between the eye, the front of the eye and the front of the nose. And if we come here and go straight up from the chin, we can see it hits the eye on the right. So that just shows that this chin ended up just out a little bit too far for the drawing. I think when the chin moves back, you know, this whole thing just gets shifted back just a little bit, and we end up with that really nice curve. And you can see that where we have the chin going up here, it goes more straight across. When we get that, then we'll have that feeling of leaning forward, leaning in, and about to say hi to somebody, or, you know, about to engage there. Okay. I would say be careful with the ear. This is check. We can see that the ear goes right even with the nostril right there, and here it goes below. It gives it a very, very long look. And we talked about noses before this way, but ears are, even though on a profile the ear is there and we obviously have to deal with it, we want to make sure we minimize how many dark lines we have, because that kind of contrast really draws our attention to the ear. We want the attention to go here, so we can just soften that just a little bit. Ears are notoriously crazy. All those folds, trying to figure out how they go, where, you know, light, dark, medium, and all those different places in between. Basically, it's kind of a C shape, and then we have the little bump here, and then an inside C shape comes around and comes down, and you've probably figured all that out. And then it's just a matter of lights and mediums and darks. I just wouldn't go super, super dark here, as dark as your eye is, because that takes a little attention away from the eye. I would say the nose is spot on. You got that? I like how when you took your picture here, that's just a hint of the eye over here, and that kind of it's just a little bit of a tip, and it kind of gives a little dimension. It's not like a little less like a mugshot, so it's a really nice drawing. Make sure you give a hint where the top of your head is here. This curve goes up, and it does, just like the jug that you drew in your still life. It doesn't have to be a solid line. It can be solid here and then start to get broken as you get up near the top, and then it just kind of vanishes where your hair takes over then. We had talked about how to make hair look gray. You did do the background in a little bit. Use a really sharp edge of an eraser, and you can go in after you do your dark marks. You could even do the blender over the whole thing and make it like a shade darker, and then use a sharp eraser and take a look to see where the white lines are going, and kind of put those in, erase those parts back into the hair, and that'll give a lot of depth to that. That you'll have dark places and medium places and light places, and you could even have like 3 more values in there to show that there's a lot of depth in the values in there. And again, let's see, when we do this slanted line here on following your shoulder, so I don't want to block the shot here. If I line this up for your shoulder, you can see that it hits about on your right eyebrow, and so here the shoulder should be quite a bit higher. We just have this little space up here before it starts slanting out at a sharper angle, and then this comes straight down. That's something else I wanted to note, that if we go straight up from this point, we miss like your entire face. So the shoulder, or this the front here, goes completely out of sight, and it doesn't even line up with any of the features on that triangle. So you want to make sure you keep this part, this slanted line, back far enough. It's okay. Look how steep that is. It's kind of like a double diamond or triple diamond ski slope. Actually, yours is that steep too. It just has to go back farther a little bit, and maybe a little bit lower. Just a hair. Okay, what else? The brows are good. Make sure you got enough. Pay attention to how thick the lid looks. We've got more of a lid here. You in your self-portraits where you were straight on, you were really getting the proportion right. It's about a third, a third, and a third. A third of this lower part here, that's kind of like goes down to this crease here. That's about a third, compared to the opening of the eyes, about a third, and then the lid above is about a third. So that's kind of a proportion to watch out for. But again, I think the eye is just a little bit large for the whole face. I mean, not the eye. I'm sorry, not the whole eye. The pupil. Just make sure that when you look at the pupil, you can measure it. This is the measuring tool I was telling you about, and it comes with 2 points, so that are very, very exact and very precise. So if you're measuring, a certain distance, from the chin to the lip, you can come back and you can say chin to the lip. Yep, that's it. And it's super, super precise, and it's something that I've just had for a long time. You can shop. Blick might have it, or Utrecht, or any of the art supply places would carry something like that. Very useful tool when you're starting to get down, especially with portraits, when you're getting down to the really fine details, and you want everything to be in place so that you want your drawing to have the exact proportions. There's still I'm sorry, I'll finish my sentence. You want it to have the exact proportions as the photo, and then you still will have plenty of room for personal expression when you get into some of these lines up in here that are beyond just getting the Joey expressions or the Joey features right. Okay. Another thing is take another look at the dividing line between the upper lip and lower lip. Now this one is kind of hidden. Maybe I can move that graph out of the way. I'm probably going to mess everything up now. Okay. Nope, should have done it one more. Okay, now we'll see it. Okay. Compare that line in the middle. You have to ask yourself, what does it look like? Does it look like, how is it slanted? Is it curved? Is it bumpy? It looks definitely like a green circle ski slope. And when we come over here, we have something that comes down and then takes a turn that way. So it's a little tricky. Lips are notoriously hard because there's no real hard defining line of the upper and lower lip, but this line in the middle has a definite slant to it, and it comes down, and you want to make sure that yours has that as well. I mean, we tend to think of smiles as being beautiful little curves like this, but technically you can still have a very smiling look and have this coming down and then a little curve at the top. And then it's kind of funny because the upper lip goes over and the lower lip just barely kind of hangs out there past it. So take a real close look at that as you do it. Okay, great start. I can't wait to see you do another one next week, and we'll talk to you then. Thanks, Joey. Bye.